Okay, this is my presentation over physical development in early childhood. Okay. Oh my gosh, I don't know if she can see that. Okay, first we are going to introduce the physical development in early childhood. First, early childhood spans from approximately ages 2 to 6. And this is a period that is marked by significant growth and change in the brain and body. Physical development during this stage includes improvements in height, weight, brain growth, and motor skills, which we will talk about. This phase lays the foundation for health, independence, and school readiness. These are usually the years before school, pre-K, and kindergarten. Understanding these changes is essential for caregivers, educators, and professionals working with children, but also could be beneficial to parents. And it is tied directly to developmental theories and milestones discussed throughout this course, especially in domains of biosocial development and parent influence. Okay, so first we're going to start with the physical development and growth, and we have a quote here. We have a quote here that has come straight from the textbook. Physical development in early childhood refers to the biological changes that children undergo, including growth in height and weight, brain maturation, and advances in motor skills. So to begin with, the average child grows around 2.5 inches and gains 5 to 7 pounds a year. In early childhood, we continue to see steady growth, although it is slower than during infancy. According to our textbook, the average child grows about 2.5 inches in weight and gains 5 to 7 pounds annually during these years. By age 6, it is good for the child to be 46 pounds and 46 inches, the 46 and 46 rule. After age 6, the pound should be more than the number of inches tall. One key concept here is going to be body proportion. Children start to look less like toddlers and more like miniature adults, with their head and their limbs becoming more balanced in proportion to their body. Whereas when they were like infants, their head was like bigger than their body. Okay, so next we're gonna go on to growth hormone deficiency, also known as GHD. GHD is when the pituitary gland doesn't produce enough growth hormone, and this is going to lead to significantly shorter stature and delayed physical development. The textbook explains that with early detection, growth hormone therapy can help children reach a more typical growth pattern. This may occur during infancy or later in childhood. Abused or neglected children seem to be challenged with this more. And some things that you can do would be treatment that they have to go through for several years. Like we talked about before, early diagnosis is crucial for maximizing their growth potential. This is going to connect back to our course by emphasizing the importance of early diagnosis and intervention in developmental health. For instance, children with GHD may also experience psychosocial challenges due to their stature, which ties into emotional development, showing how these domains are interconnected. Understanding these patterns and exceptions is essential for educators, caregivers, and professionals that are working with young children. Okay, now we're going to move on to some developmental milestones. We have some examples here on the screen. And according to our textbook, during early childhood, children experience rapid growth in both gross and fine motor skills, which are key components of physical development in children. So we have here that by age 2, most children begin to master basic movements like running and climbing, and this is going to mark the beginning of large motor control. As they reach age 3, they become more increasingly agile, alternating feet on stairs, and even learning to ride a tricycle. These skills reflect increasing coordination, which is a part of the structural and functional development of the central nervous system. Between ages 3 and 5, we see more complex motor patterns emerging, such as hopping, skipping, and balancing. These improvements are closely tied to brain development, particularly in the areas like the cerebellum and the motor cortex. By age 6, many children can learn how to ride a bike, a milestone that requires balance, coordination, and also confidence. These milestones are not just physical, they really reflect cognitive planning and execution function, showing how physical development overlaps with other developmental domains. This aligns with the idea that motor skill proficiency supports children's independence, social interactions, and even academic readiness. And we got this from Payne and Isaacs 2017. It is also important to remember that individual variation is normal. Cultural differences, their environment, socioeconomic status are all going to play a role in the pace of their development. For example, children from lower income households may have less access to safe outdoor play spaces, potentially delaying the development of certain motor skills. Okay, so next we're going to move on to the scholarly part of the presentation. This slide dives into the scholarly understanding of physical development in early childhood. According to the Early Childhood Research Quarterly, physical development is not limited to what we see on the outside. It includes the internal maturation of the nervous system that supports motor control and coordination. Our textbook describes this period as one of gradual yet consistent physical growth, where motor skills improve and the body becomes more proportionate. However, we must consider external influences too, such as nutrition, sleep, parenting styles. All of these are going to serve as scaffolds for physical development. For instance, we highlight how children in low-income environments often face growth delays, both physically and neurologically. Oh my gosh. This supports what we learn in our textbook about growth hormone deficiency, which can cause serious height deficits if not treated early. As part of the project, I really wanted to show that physical development is deeply interconnected with emotional and cognitive growth. You cannot have just one, you need both for a child to succeed. A child who struggles with motor skills might also struggle with self-esteem or attention in school. Lastly, I also included Bermuda's work on parenting to tie this concept to broader course context. Children raised in authoritative households are more likely to have structure, but supportive environments where they feel safe to explore, play, and develop physically. Okay, so on this slide, we are really going to focus on the development of gross and fine motor skills. And again, these are essential components of physical development in early childhood. So to break it down, gross motor skills involve large movements. Like we spoke about, running, jumping, skipping, all of these things. These are going to emerge rapidly between ages 2 and 6 as children gain their balance and more control over their bodies. For an example, preschoolers begin to hop on one foot or ride tricycles, skills that require both muscle strength and coordination. Fine motor skills, by contrast, involve precise hand and finger movements, such as drawing, buttoning clothes, stacking blocks, tying shoes. These skills support academic tasks like writing and cutting paper. According to our textbook, these skills reflect not only physical growth, but also neurological development as they rely on more refined muscles and control, such as hand-eye coordination. Play is critical for motor development. We always encourage kids to get out and move. Through both structured activities like sports and free exploration, such as building with blocks, drawing, children can practice and improve these skills. It is also important to consider how cultural and environmental factors can shape their motor development. For instance, in some cultures where children are encouraged to play more physically from a young age, they may walk or climb earlier than most. Meanwhile, children in a more restrictive environment may experience some delays. This ties to the broader theme of the project on how physical development isn't just biological, it is also influenced by context, parenting, and also opportunity. So on this slide, we have some examples of gross motor skills and some milestones that they should be hitting. By 3, like we had talked about, they're going to be hopping, jumping, running back and forth. By 4, they're becoming way more adventurous and they begin to climb up and down. By 5, they should be running hard. They should still be very adventurous and they're literally climbing any object that they can. Failure to develop basic motor skills can have long-term negative effects. Development of gross motor skills are feelings of confidence about those skills are important. And then here on the next slide, we have some examples of fine motor skills. By 3, they're becoming more mature and they're able to place and handle things better than they did as infants. By 4, coordination has improved and is more precise. And by 5, hopefully their hand, arm, and body are all moving together under the command of the eye, and the child will seek more complex activities. It's also good to put them in sports and things of that sort to really help. Next, we are going to move on to the nutrition side. The caloric needs and growth. Children aged 2 to 5 require approximately 1,200 or 1,600 calories daily to sustain metabolic function, brain development, and rapid physical growth. And that comes straight from the textbook. These calories must be nutrition dense and to support not just the size increase, but also their brain development, organ function, and muscle growth. We are looking for greens on their plates, lots of fruit, and frequent meals. However, many children consume excess saturated fats and added sugars, as we are going to look at right here. The American Heart Association recommends no more than 25 grams of added sugar per day for children. Yet many exceed this due to sugary beverages, snacks, and cereals. This is a really good reason why you should be looking at packaging for children's items. I feel like children are more susceptible to sugary things. A major consequence of poor nutrition is childhood obesity. Obesity affects 1 in 5 children in the U.S. and is linked to poor motor skill development. Which is really sad to think about that 1 in 5 children in the U.S. are obese. But it impairs their motor development, it leads to social isolation, and it sets the stage for adult chronic diseases like diabetes and hypertension. In our textbook, it emphasizes that early intervention is key, which is tying back to getting them to move their muscles, getting to play outside. Play is very important. Socioeconomic status plays a very significant role here in nutrition. Children in lower income households may experience food insecurity, meaning that they lack consistent access to healthier foods. Ironically, this can lead to obesity as affordable foods tend to be calorie dense and low in nutrients. The textbook links this inequality to systematic issues such as neighborhood food, the ice cream man, the guy that comes around, or just a lack of safe places for them to play, which is really probably keeping them in the house. And then at that point, they are eating more, and it's just an endless cycle. Additionally, nutrition and physical activity are deeply interconnected. The CDC recommends that preschoolers engage in at least 3 hours of activity daily. This includes active play, like we talked about before, running, climbing, and even dancing. These activities not only promote healthy weight, but also refine their gross motor skills. They're going to support their skeletal development, and they're going to foster confidence. In the context of early childhood education and parenting, as discussed throughout the course, caregivers and professionals must advocate for a balanced diet and regular physical activity to support holistic development. Nutrition, education, school lunch reform, and access to safe play environments are all essentially parts of the solution. Okay, next we're gonna move on to sleep. We're almost done, I promise. It's supposed to be 3 minutes, we're at 14. Okay, so sleep. At first, we're gonna have the definition of sleep. It's gonna be sleep is a natural state of rest that is essential for physical growth and brain development during early childhood. Sleep is a crucial biological process in early childhood that directly affects physical development. According to the textbook, sleep contributes to growth, emotional regulation, and memory consolidation. The recommended range for children 3 to 5 is between around 10 to 13 hours per 24 hours, which includes daytime naps. Those naps are really essential. From a scholarly perspective, Bendel and Owens in 2015 emphasized that children who do not get sufficient quality sleep are at an increased